Story 1. My lower back pain is from having given birth to children. Update. This is due to pregnancy later in life and lifting them once they were born. Children get heavy so fast. So mothers, I understand you. Story 2. 44 here. Nothing significant. Some lower back discomfort if I strain it on a bike ride or at the gym. Sometimes shoulder issues when I sleep. Overall, I am pretty lucky. Story 3. None of them. I go to the gym regularly. I do not try to push through injuries. I use weights and routines I feel comfortable with. I try to get enough sleep. I do not work a manual labor job. Story 4. Just my opinion. Our parents' generation really caused a lot of problems. This is all spoken metaphorically, of course. Story 5. Bad cartilage in right knee. I usually have to take 4 ibuprofen tablets to get around. I was a valet for years, and the start-stop motion caused the damage. Story 6. For me, on a daily basis, it is both my hips, left knee, lower back, and right foot, along with a few other areas that come and go. Story 7. A couple of years ago, I got injured and decided to make it a habit to move my body every day. Nothing extreme, just sustainable lifestyle changes. I have never felt better. I do not have any constant pain like I used to. Story 8. I am 42 next week and nothing has really changed. I have always been very agile and fidgety. I still run up and down stairs and sit with my knees up, just like I did at school. I have most likely caused internal damage from smoking, but I am not feeling it yet. Story 9. Literally everything except for my knees. I have a body made of glass and knees made of titanium. How this occurred, I have no idea. Story 10. Every morning, something that did not ache the night before now aches. Also, there are at least 2 new bruises whose origins I know absolutely nothing about. Story 11. I used to have a lot, but I started exercising, stretching, eating, and sleeping better, and most of them are gone. Story 12. None. I'm thankful every day for how mobile I am. I heard the reason older people move slowly is because everything hurts. I do cardiovascular exercise and weight training 4 days a week just to try to maintain what I have. Story 13. I got tendinitis in my right thumb from doing nothing of note. I woke up one morning, and it just hurt. Now I am wearing a brace. My feet hurt on hard floors if I am not wearing some sort of shoe or slipper. My hip clicks when I walk up a slight grade. My lower back always hurts. Story 14. I do a lot of working out and literally everything hurts constantly. Gymnastics is not good if you have multiple torn ligaments and tendons, yet I keep coming back. I am almost 40. Story 15. I exercise regularly and eat my vegetables and protein. Overall, I do not have much pain, just one knee that sometimes hurts a bit, and now some hip pain. However, I am pretty sure that is from the baby and hope it will clear up after birth. Story 16. Back pain, horrible back pain. I joke with my girlfriend that it is only a matter of time before I am that guy, age 39, yelling at kids to get off my lawn. Funny enough, I have done it once already but had a good reason for it. It was more of a request to get off my property, purely for liability reasons. Story 17. All of them. Seriously though, knee, ankle, neck, lower back, fingers. A few lingering effects from some surgeries. Story 18. Knees and ankles hurt whenever a storm is approaching due to an old injury or if I sit for a while without moving. My shoulder hurts whenever I sleep in the wrong position. My lower back hurts if I spend a lot of time hunched over, such as when working on a car. My neck hurts if I have to sleep sitting up without a pillow or something to prevent my head from tilting at an awkward angle. Basically, getting on an airplane is pure torture for me. I am already too tall and overweight, so I feel miserable for a day after a flight. Story 19. 37. Pregnant with my 4th child. I have no consistent pain anywhere. What are you all doing with yourselves? Story 20. Which body aches do you have? It would be better to ask that sentence with don't instead of do, as that would result in a shorter list. Story 21. Chronic tension headaches, neck pain, back pain, sciatic pain, restless legs, temporomandibular joint disorder, irritable bowel syndrome, and the list continues. I am 32. Story 22. Feet hurt if I do not wear proper shoes, and a lot of my body aches because I am trying to get into shape. I am also somewhat sure I have a hernia of some kind. Story 23. I am 54 years old and have been working in a hospital for 26 years. Foot, knee, and arm all on one side. My warranty is wearing out. Story 24. The ball of my feet hurt. I can't ride my road bike for more than an hour straight without having to take a break. Story 25. I developed posterior vitreous detachment in my right eye recently. It feels like constantly seeing something in the corner of my eye. I have read it is common after age 50. I just turned 50 last December, so I wish it could have waited a little longer. Story 26. I am actually in decent shape. I have taken a lot of damage in wrestling, mixed martial arts, and laboring. Some of you should be a little concerned with the extensive list I am hearing. Story 27. Meaty diet, lift weights in the gym, and run frequently, training for another race in the fall. I also love riding bikes and swimming. I am disciplined with my sleep regimen. Story 28. Head to toe minus lumbar spine, which somehow escaped with no osteoarthritis and full cartilage. Late 30s for reference. Story 29. My ankle is often sore due to tearing my Achilles tendon a couple of years ago. Sometimes, when it is really cold outside, my knee that I hyperextended as a child will ache. Of course, my back is sometimes sore depending on how I sleep. I cannot complain too much about my body, but I am pretty close to 30. Story 30. My shoulder hurts from resting on my computer chair armrest. Nobody warned me of the hazards of a desk job. Story 31. Knees experience constant pain. The back has intermittent pain. Feet and hips often hurt. Other random pains can occur at any time. This is without considering the complications from brain injury. Story 32. My feet are always hurting. I am on my feet for a good part of the day, but if I sit down for a while and then stand up, I hobble around for a little while until it feels better. Story 33. My left foot is really sensitive due to nerve pain. My mid-back is intermittently uncomfortable. My shoulders, particularly my right shoulder, are still tender from having broken my right arm last year. Story 34. My back, more than anything else, has suffered. All of my teenage years and 20s have caught up to me in the form of arthritis in my spine, a bulging disc, scoliosis, and spinal stenosis. Story 35. Knees all the way down to ankles, lower back, shoulder to hand, neck with a lot of stiffness. Story 36. Elbows. Right now, that is the only place that does not hurt. But give it time, I am sure they will catch up. Story 37. At 74, body aches occur quite often, 3 to 4 afternoons and evenings a week. It feels like a workout kind of feeling. Taking 800 milligrams of ibuprofen and waiting an hour makes me feel much better. Story 38. 35 minutes. Luckily, none. I do not even get headaches anymore since I started working out about a year ago. Story 39. I am weak down my entire left side, no thanks to multiple sclerosis. My left leg twitches a lot at night, meaning I do not get much or decent sleep. My leg goes numb when I stand for more than 15 minutes, and most days the soles of my feet feel like they are on fire. So yes, quite a few aches. Story 40. Slipped a disc in my lower back a couple of times in my mid to late 20s. Still need to be careful to avoid slipping it again. Had some physical therapy and try to keep the muscle strengthened, but it flares up from time to time. My ankles have always been weak, but I had surgery to fix the left one back in 2022. It usually took the worst of the injuries, so the surgery was very much needed. My right ankle has had some problems but is largely in better shape than my left used to be. I have temporomandibular joint disorder now, too, so I am always a little paranoid that the disc in my jaw might shift again. I wear a mouthguard to bed every night since clenching my jaw caused the issue in the first place, and I have not had problems since the original incident. Story 41. Nothing really. I am nearly 40 with 2 children, and I suppose my shoulders are damaged from rugby, but there is no pain. Maybe I am not as full of energy, but I think the next 10 years will be more telling. Story 42. Funny, I came across this. My back has been hurting the last few days and I have no idea why. I am suffering as we speak. Story 43. Currently, my hip flexors are tight from sitting at my desk job without taking breaks or stretching throughout the day, followed by going directly to the gym to lift heavy weights. Story 44. Knees hurt from time to time. Lower back aches every so often. Shoulder hurts when I lift too much too many times. Dislodged rib aches when the weather changes. I also played rugby for a decade, so there is that. Story 45. I need to make sure my feet are bent before I sneeze. Otherwise, I can throw my back out. A few months ago, I was running with my dogs, and my feet forgot how to operate. My foot assumed the ground was about 5 inches higher than it really was, so I fell, and my dogs looked at me like I was an idiot man-child. Story 46. Right knee, no idea. Left forearm muscle. I picked up my son once and felt a pop. It hasn't been right since. Doing anything that involves pulling feels like I am going to tear the muscle off the bone. But I am not a quitter, so I keep pulling. Story 47. Knees, lower back, shoulders, hands, ankles, and sometimes elbows. I have been a blue-collar worker my entire life, and my body has been abused. Story 48. My hip has been inflamed for 2 weeks out of nowhere. It hurt intensely, and I was in bed writhing in pain. My parents got ibuprofen, muscle cream, and pain patches. Story 49. Osteoarthritis at 59 years old. Started when I was about 54. Knees, shoulders, back, basically all joints. I work out a lot and have lost 120 pounds since it began, so I cope with it well, but it is a constant source of chronic pain. Story 50. My right shoulder has been hurting for a while now. I have no idea why. Also, if I squat down for anything, getting back up is a nightmare, as if my knees are frozen. I am 30 years old. Story 51. My knee aches if I sit too long, especially on long flights, but generally I am pretty ache-free. The knee pain comes from a degenerative meniscus tear years ago. I started working out again to keep my muscles strong, and daily stretching also helps. Story 52. Every once in a while I twist or bend the wrong way, and my back does not like it. But mostly my feelings are hurt, not my body. Story 53. Both knees, but in different parts of each knee. Lower back if I strain it, and back of my skull if I get stressed. Story 54. Left rotator cuff that physical therapy did not fully fix. Back issues in the lumbar, thoracic and cervical areas, knees, and more recently fingers. Also temporomandibular joint and chronic migraines, which are believed to be related to posterior chain issues, coronavirus disease 2019, and concussions. Story 55. I go to the chiropractor for my knee and hip. An epidural damaged my back 12 years ago. My shoulders are very tight. Story 56. At least every few months, I tweak my neck so badly I cannot turn it. Checking blind spots or turning around to talk to someone is nearly impossible. Story 57. Back pain because I am overweight and sit in a chair all day. Arm pain from bowling last night. Wrist pain from installing something in a server rack that had a very tight screw. Neck pain because I slept in an awkward position. Digestive discomfort from eating spicy food. Getting older is difficult. If I were in better shape, it would not be this bad, so it is partly my own fault. Story 58. So, at 35 I have a bad back. Not constantly, but it is only ever a matter of time before it hurts again. A painful shoulder that aches when I lie down and which I cannot move fully. An ankle that I twisted about 2 years ago and has not been right since. I think the key issue as we get older is that things do not heal as quickly. A minor stumble that would have caused a day or so of discomfort in my teens now results in pain that lasts for months. Story 59. T5, T6 disc bulging can cause breathing problems and pain when standing or sitting for too long. Can also affect the left shoulder. The left elbow sometimes pinches a nerve and locks when fully straightened due to overextension and a dislocated elbow. There is a torn sacroiliac joint in the left lower back. This can cause the spine to be crooked. It requires a medical professional to straighten it, followed by 3 to 5 days of recovery, or 7 to 10 days without straightening. The right knee has no anterior cruciate ligament, 3 meniscus tears, and no cartilage. The condition varies by day and moment. Surgery for a replacement may be approved in about 10 years. The right ankle was completely shattered at one point. A tendon pops over the ankle joint when cutting to the left too quickly. It is fine for the first 1 to 3 times, but then it hurts every time. The right hand has shattered knuckles, which only hurt when the hand seizes up and cannot be opened for a few minutes. The skull has a massive crack from 2 different incidents, one involving a baseball bat. This causes migraines and light sensitivity. Pain level: uncertain, as most of this has been lived with for 20 years. Story 60. Finished medical school and residency with countless body aches, most notably in the neck and back. I started lifting weights after I put together a small home gym, developed a steady routine, and now all the aches have faded. Occasionally, I sleep in an awkward position and wake up with a crick in my neck for a few hours, which is a new development in my 30s. Story 61. My back is always slightly sore, and my shoulders are always tense and sore. Sometimes my hips hurt when I first stand up. This started happening after having children. Story 62. Left testicle cyst and a scrotal pearl. Lower back with degenerated discs. Shoulder, elbow, and wrist pain due to 28 years of bricklaying. Knee pain due to being overweight. Heart issues related to borderline personality disorder. Story 63. I just turned 30, and I am not sure if having extreme health anxiety for the last month and a half caused arthritic symptoms, or if I actually have autoimmune arthritis. So all of the aches, I suppose. Story 64. Right shoulder after I ruptured my shoulder joint. Surgery was successful, but it still feels stiff and aches from time to time. Story 65. Knees for sure. But I had 2 knee surgeries before I was 20, so I earned it. Since I turned 60, my hands have deteriorated. I remember my dad complaining about arthritis in his hands at about this age, so I guess I got it naturally. Story 66. All of them, but I have a couple of chronic conditions that cause it. I think my back will always hurt because my high school backpack weighed about 50 pounds. Story 67. Hips. I found out 6 months ago that I have arthritis in both hips. I am 38 and have been a runner for the last 15 years. It is very painful, especially when it is cold. Story 68. I have joint pains in my hands and elbows. I have had them since I had my second child 2 years ago. It got a bit better, but apparently it is a side effect of pregnancy and will never completely go away. Story 69. For anyone under 30 stressing in the comments, please train your flexor muscles. This is different from just lifting weights in the gym or going for a run. While these activities can help, specific flexor training should supplement them. You can create a short, 10-minute routine before bed each night and notice differences in your range of motion within a week. Do not give up after a month. Continue consistently. I personally focus on my hip flexors because that is an area my mother struggles with frequently. My routine for them takes less than 5 minutes and requires no equipment. Another common area of pain involves the shoulder flexors. Search for physical therapy exercises for the specific body part and try some out. Choose exercises you can perform and add them to your routine. Story 70. Right knee pops, left shoulder socket hurts, left hand is developing arthritis, lower back has constant pain, and I hear a high-pitched sound that never goes away. I have only just turned 40. Story 71. I walked around the aquarium yesterday for 2.5 hours, and afterward I felt like a truck hit me. So there's that. Story 72. Got hit by a car while chasing a shoplifter. Turned out he had a friend waiting for him. I bent my knee backwards when he hit me, and I went over the bonnet. It always aches now, some days worse than others. I damaged my anterior cruciate ligament and meniscus. I tore a muscle in my back lifting a full wardrobe and then sneezing. You can still feel the gap in the muscle where it tore, and it has never been as strong as before. I have a scar on my shin down to the bone from falling onto concrete and getting stuck with a piece of reinforcing bar. That scar aches when it is cold. I pushed my body to the limit, and now I am just a collection of injuries. Do not be like me, kids. Look after yourself. Story 73. Lower back pain occurs only because my mother has fallen out of bed on multiple occasions due to her advancing age. She weighs 210 pounds, and I weigh 145 pounds. Despite staying in shape, trying to lift her without causing harm means my back bears the strain. Story 74. I am 39 and 3/4 years old. My knees are my main concern because I love hiking. Last year, they started making audible noises when I stood up from a crouch. Story 75. 62 here. Still cold water swim and hike approximately 30 kilometers per week. Every time I do something different, it hurts. But that has been the same since I was 30. Get used to it. Also, my liver is damaged. Story 76. Blew out my back in my 20s. Now at 35, I bounce between walking like my 90-year-old grandmother and telling myself if I ever get to Whistler, I could totally still ride dirt trails. Story 77. Hip pain, especially after sitting for more than 10 minutes. I also have chronic radiculopathy since about age 35. One wrong move and I could end up on the floor, unable to get up with a muscle spasm in my back. That severity is rare, but it has been that extreme in the past. More often, it is just pinched nerve, muscle tightness, a lot of pain, and limited mobility until I get some muscle relaxers and prescription nonsteroidal anti-inflammatory drugs for 3 days. I have also had both of my shoulders surgically repaired, one at age 33, the other at 38. The doctor says I will have arthritis in both soon, if not already. I did not need glasses until I turned 30, but that is more likely due to my line of work. I turned 42 this weekend. My birthday request is to be left alone to rest in bed, watch television, read, and sleep. How things have changed. I remember my 30th birthday surprise party with lots of drinking and dancing. Got thrown in the pool. Stayed up all night. No way now. Story 78. Nothing much. Just the knee a little. Back sometimes too. My neck might get stiff from time to time. My wrists feel a bit sore occasionally. My feet sometimes hurt randomly. Plus, my whole digestive system is not as good as it used to be. My throat gets pretty bad from allergies. I also had a kidney stone last year, if that counts. Otherwise, nothing much. Story 79. I slept wrong once and could not get out of bed. I had to call out of work and ask a friend to come over to help me. But the door was locked, so I had to tell them how to get into my apartment. Story 80. My tailbone. I injured it while riding an exercise bike. I cannot sit comfortably for long periods. I have an ache in the bone. I have had it x-rayed. There are no obvious signs of injury. I feel like I am going crazy. It has been 4.5 years. Story 81. 36 here. No pains really. I am very active at work. Non-stop lifting and walking for 8 hours. Usually, I walk 7 to 8 miles in my shift. Lots of heavy lifting. I think staying active is key. The only issue I have is a nerve in my lower back when I get in a cold pool during the summer. It will ache until I go to sleep and then be completely fine the next day. Story 82. None. 30 isn't really a big deal at all. The question suggests that people over 30 are somewhat old, which really is not the case. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.